Hi. This video is called Why Do We Die? ... So the last one was called Why Are We Here? Before I get started, I just want to remind everybody to please subscribe. It's free, you don't have to pay for that, so just hit the subscribe button. And also the notification bell if you want to know when more videos are going to be coming your way. Also, I always like a like. Hit that like button too. Why do we die? Well, I mean, scientifically, we die either because we've gotten so old that our bodies are just tired and can't do it anymore. They aren't made to last for all that long, really, and in the time-space continuum. We also die because we're sick, or we die because of some tragedy, an accident, or somebody shoots us, or some awful thing like that. The question isn't really why do we die, because I think we all know why we die. We die because of one of those things. But why do we die in tragic circumstances? Or why do we get cancer? Or why do we have a heart attack? And of course, the natural things, and I'm going to call them natural, though they don't seem natural, but if our body gives out on us because we're old, or we have a heart attack because we had some kind of a heart condition, or just, surprise, heart attack. If we have cancer, or some other disease, there's so many ways that we can die, right? So if it's something to do with our physical body, I think even though we don't like it, and even though we sometimes, if it's us with the cancer, we may question, why me? It still seems to be reasonable, if that makes sense. I think the ones that bug us, that are horrible, are the ones that we have absolutely no sense of control on. I mean, if you have cancer, you have some options. You can get chemotherapy or radiation or immunotherapy or something. You can do that or nothing, whatever you want to do. I think that, if you have a heart condition or you have high blood pressure, something like that, you can choose to eat better, exercise, stop smoking, or doing whatever it is that's causing that condition to get worse. So you can at least try. But if somebody comes along when you're standing on the street corner and starts shooting people for no reason, and you happen to get shot and are killed, that seems so senseless. And from a human point of view, it is. It's unnecessary. There's no reason for us to kill each other. I don't care how angry you are with somebody. It's rather intrusive to go and kill them because they pulled in front of you on the highway. That happens. Crazy. Society today is very different than the society I grew up in. And I'm not saying that people weren't mean or unreasonable, or sometimes there wasn't a murder. When I was young, of course there was. There's always been that. If there's been people on the earth, we've been killing each other. But it seems today that people are sort of desensitized to the whole idea that, picking up a gun, for instance, and going into a building and shooting people doesn't seem that crazy anymore. To the people who it's happened to, or the family members of the people who it's happened to, it seems crazy. But to the person doing it, they justify it. For all sorts of reasons that are also not very loving reasons, but, in their minds, they're justifying the fact that they went into a bar and just shot 20 people and 4 of them died. Well, the bartender wouldn't serve me the other day because he said I had too much to drink. So he was the first one I shot. That seems justified to people. So part of this has to do with the answer to that question. Why do we die? A lot of it has to do with, psychology, as far as the humanity of it is concerned, because there's two ways that people need to see death, I think. This is all my opinion, of course, so feel free to disagree and comment. I'd love to hear what you think. But from a human point of view, physiologic point of view, psychologic point of view, there's kind of society has a problem when we have reduced ourselves to kill or be killed. And we're not quite there yet, but it's going in that direction. I don't know how long it'll take to get there, but if we don't stop it, if we don't find some way to help these people, if we don't find some way to reach out to people who are disturbed so easily, it's going to get worse. I don't even like to think that, but it is. When my children went to school, they didn't have to have metal detectors. They didn't have to have somebody examining everything in their backpack. Kids, little kids, 5-year-olds, kindergarten, going through a metal detector and having somebody check their backpack. Where is our innocence? Where is our sweetness? Where's our humanity? And people are depressed. People have mental illnesses. Some people are angry because we don't agree with their religion or their race. All the things of how we label each other, to separate us from each other. It's a whole other video. I'm still on Why Do We Die? Just wanted to remind you, if you've ever watched any of my videos, you know that I sort of go like this to get to the point. Because I'm thinking the whole time, there's no script here, I'm just going for it, Anyway, the spiritual side of Why Do We Die is not really talked about that often, especially in some of the more traditional religions, Western type of religions, even though they really originated in the East. They're not Western religions, Christianity, Judaism, stuff like that. I think a lot of people, because we do have a lot of people who would identify as Christians in the United States, which is where I'm from, I think a lot of people would say, well, when you die, you die. But what happens after you die is important. Because when you die, one theory is that your soul, which is a separate part of you, heads up to heaven if you have been good. And if you have been bad, it goes down to hell. And then you spend eternity either very, very happy with your loved ones that have died before you, if they're there, and with God and with, Jesus or whoever the prophet is that is you can most kind of identify with. The pearly gates and, all that. Or you go to hell, which is a horrendous place. Got to remember hell. That would be another video. I know where hell really is. Anyway, so then you get down there and it's fire and brimstone and mean and, I think evil. And you're punished for eternity. There will never be a day that goes by when you won't feel sad, hurt, angry, alone, maybe, hopefully, sorry for whatever it was you did that got you down there. I had a friend once. He wasn't really a friend, I just thought he was, but, that goes on. So I asked him, do you believe in reincarnation? He said, absolutely not. I said, well, what do you believe in? He said, I believe in heaven or hell. He said, I'll believe in reincarnation if you can prove it to me. I didn't think to say it. Because, you start religious talks or political talks and pretty soon you're not friends anymore. But what I wanted to say was, well, when you can prove heaven and hell to me, then I'll believe that. Nobody on earth, I don't think, I could be 100% wrong, but nobody on earth, as far as I know, can prove heaven or hell. But lots of people still blindly believe it. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because we all have to believe something, what fits in our life at the time. But how is reincarnation any different? And what is a soul? That's another subject. I keep adding subjects. I got to answer this one. Why do we die? So I guess what I'm thinking more about is, why would somebody, I'm a childbirth educator. And most of the time birth is just, oh my gosh, so incredible and so wonderful. And I'm always so happy to do what I do. But every once in a while, for me maybe once a year, somebody tells me their baby died. It either died before it was born or not long afterwards. It's so sad. As a mom and a grandmother, I cannot fathom the emotion, the hurt, the sadness, the grief that probably never goes away. I can't imagine it. It must be awful. And you would understand why people would say, why? Why did this baby have to die? This may be the beginning video. If you've watched a couple of other ones, you may have thought, is this lady for real? Is she, maybe she needs to take some more medication. Tie her up in one of those jackets. Well, starting now with this conversation, you're either going to think, okay, she's loony bins, I'm outie. Or you're going to think, what is she trying to say? Or maybe you'll think, oh, this is fascinating. That's the one I'm hoping for, Even what is she trying to say is good. You don't have to agree with any of it to be curious about it. Or if you're open-minded, to think, I never thought of it that way. And I'm not trying to convince everybody I'm right. I know I am. But that's okay. I think we're all right, to be honest with you. And that's a whole other video too. Who's right? Good video. Okay, I'm going to write these down. I believe, especially if it's tragic, and I'm not going to bring up things like 9/11, that's way hard to comprehend any purpose to that that's positive. But if you believe that we have a soul inside of us, that when we die, leaves our body, and that's all a very physical way of looking at things, and of course, that also could be another subject, is what is soul? But if you believe that we have a soul and that it leaves our body, and there does seem to be some scientific proof that that could be true. They've done, tests with the weight of the body, and when the person dies, it gets a little bit less. I can't remember what the number is. I think Kiefer Sutherland did a movie about that. I can't remember. But if we have a soul, where is it going? Is it going to heaven or hell? Is it going somewhere else? Is it jumping in another body and coming back? And why was it here? Why was it in my body, and now it's in somebody else's body, and now it's in somebody else's body, or maybe it's floating in heaven? But let's forget the heaven and hell thing just for a second. Let's pretend this soul has a purpose. Not just Judy's purpose, but many purposes. What if soul needs the experience of being shot or being killed in an accident to have empathy, to have some deeper understanding of the experience? I may say this again in another video, but for me it's a very important point to everything I think. We cannot know what it's like to be black until we're black. We cannot know what it means to be white until we're white. We cannot know what it means to die a tragic death until we've died a tragic death. We can't know what it's like to be poor if we're never poor, rich if we're never rich. I'd like to try that one a couple times, the rich one. That's something I'm hoping for, if I haven't done it already. We can't know what it's like to be a murderer unless we've been a murderer. We can't know what it's like to be a ballerina if we've never been a ballerina. Every experience that each of us has in life offers us a new insight, a new understanding, a bit of empathy, and a way to grow closer to the people around us, because we have within us an understanding of what it is they're going through. So the purpose of dying may be just for the experience. If you can believe in the long-term growth of soul, individual souls and combined souls, if you can understand that there would be a grand purpose for each of us to experience pretty much as we possibly can throughout many lives, many decades and centuries and thousands and millions of years. It's a lot of work to learn everything, but we've got time. As a human, I may not. I'm 67 years old today. This isn't my birthday, but I mean, as I'm sitting here, I'm 67 years old, which when I was young, I thought that was really old. But I don't really feel like it's that old now. I suppose I might get old around 75, but let's wait and see. This is going to even be a little bit harder for you to hear, but I want to be truthful, because I believe this is true. When I say that soul needs the experience, we also need the experience of grief. We don't need just the good experiences. We need them all. Every one. Every emotion, every experience, every variation of things that can happen. So if a baby dies, that soul is very mature. It's not a baby, it's living in a baby's body, but maybe it needed the experience of not actually having lived outside the body, or rather inside the body, outside of the world. Maybe the parents of that baby needed the experience of losing a child. You always hear things like a parent should never have to bury their own child. And I think that holds true. I mean, I almost get choked up thinking about something like that happening. It would be terrible. For Judy. But I am more than Judy. Judy's just a vessel that I'm using right now, the real me, to learn all the things Judy has learned. feel like in this life I've got a lot, you know. I'm obviously not done though, because I'm still sitting here. So whatever I came in for, I still haven't quite achieved that. I believe that. You don't have to, it's okay. Makes sense to me, sounds crazy to most. But I think part of that's because we trust what we've grown up to learn. We aren't as open-minded. And I believe that that's actually an experience we need. You know, when somebody says to me, oh, well, you know, I'm Christian, I don't believe in reincarnation, I have a couple of thoughts for them. But the main one is, well, I'm sure I've been Christian and didn't believe in it either. I'm sure that that's been the case, or it will be in some other life. It's a perspective, it's a way of looking at things that I also would need. We all would. You know, what's it like to be a nasty person, you know, or a homeless person, or a person who steps on everybody's toes to get ahead and doesn't care who gets hurt. You can't really understand that unless we experience it. So why do we die? Maybe it's better, why do we die, when we die, and how we die? That answer to me is clear. We needed the experience. I would love, love, love to hear what you have to say about that. So, please leave some comments. I will read them all. I will answer them all as much as I possibly can. And please consider subscribing. There's a lot more videos coming. There's more on the labor and delivery side, of course, because that's my vocation. But this here, this is just me thinking out loud, sharing what I'm thinking. And maybe for one other person somewhere, it's what they need. I don't know. Maybe I just need to talk to a camera. That's my sole experience. I need to sit in front of the camera and talk to people who probably think I'm crazy. But that's okay, because it's an experience. My soul is so happy. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope to see you again very soon. Enjoy the experience.